Okay, so could you make sure you know the people in your group or your team? And the next thing that we will be doing, what we'll be doing tonight is introducing ourselves, getting to know each other. I think that's really, really important. I'd like you to put together a few notes on yourself, make sure that you give a quick rundown on where you're from, what you do, what you like, so that we all get to know each other pretty well. After that, we'll work through the presentation I gave to those that attended the earlier sessions, just to work through so everyone's got all the information they need to start the course. Any questions that you have as we're working through, please don't hesitate to ask. So it'll be personal introductions, we'll go through the course content, then we'll move into, if we don't do that beforehand, into the assignments, because I think that's going to be of principal interest to all of you. You need to know what you're heading for, what the marks are, how it's going to be marked, and all the assistance that I can give to you so that you come up with a really interesting tour, you learn a lot, and you also do well. Okay, so are there any questions on what we're up to tonight? The next two sessions, next session next Thursday night will be a local French native who will come in and give you a rundown on how he feels the French culture is different from the Australian culture. He actually works here at RMIT and has obviously worked in France as well. And then there'll be Professor Bruce Wilson for the third night, who will give you a rundown a little bit more than I'm able to at the moment on the European Union, the effect of the European Union on France, and then the effect of that focusing on Grenoble. I've got quite a number of handouts tonight which we also need to work through, because they're critical in the way in which you will be doing your business report, your presentation, and then your reflections at the end. So all this that we're covering tonight is going to be of fundamental importance to you. All right, so we're all in our teams, all set to go. Okay, so let's just have a quick chat amongst yourselves, and we'll start with Team 1, worked round to Team 3. Would you mind standing, just give a quick rundown on yourself? I might do that to begin with. I'm Doug Thompson, I'm a senior lecturer here. My PhD was in electronic business, to do essentially with corporate governance and the way in which electronic business has been affecting corporate governance and the organisational arrangements that major corporations have had to undertake to adopt a necessary level of electronic business and how they rolled that out. I worked for BHP Billiton for a number of years in that area, and in that time I assisted with developing electronic marketplaces. Also, we did a reverse auction, which was great fun. It was run out of Pittsburgh. A whole range of stuff. We even set up a electronic business marketplace, a website for the sale of Akati diamonds. Wasn't entirely successful though. I think it was really a cockshy, just to see how things would actually, how you actually set one of these things up. So that was a lot of fun. There were about 10 of us in a room like this, and we just sat down and had a chat to each other and just developed these different projects. Great fun. Prior to that, I initially started off with the military. I'm a graduate at the Royal Military College, and I've also had a stint on a diplomatic passport in the Australian High Commission in London. And in that time, 3 years or so, I spent a lot of time in Europe and Northern Ireland generally. So I guess that's a bit of background. I've had jobs, a whole range of areas. I'm actually a civil engineer, professional civil engineer. I've done a lot of design and construct, project management, project director. I was with Navy for a while and looked after a whole range of Navy projects to do with their patrol boat bases in the north in Cairns and Darwin, and major bases, submarine bases and so on. So that was all a lot of fun too. Air Force the same. I was the facilities project manager for the Australian Defence Force Academy when it was being designed and constructed. So a lot of background in engineering, a lot of background in management, a lot of background in policy development with the federal government as well. So a bit of fun. My wife and I live just outside Healesville, about 10 k's up in the mountains. No power and no water, but we've got our own generator, and we've got solar panels, and we've got a little creek a little stream that we suck some water out of. Winter time it gets a bit cold, so I've got to get out there with the axe. It's back to the basic principles, I can tell you. But look, it's a lot of fun. What else might you? I've got 3 kids. We've got 3 kids. I didn't have 3 kids. 2 boys and a girl. Yeah, so they're all off our hands and we're enjoying life now. Yeah. All right, so have a chat amongst yourselves and let's have a rundown. Okay, I'll give you 5 minutes. We'll start with team 1, then team 2, team 3. Tanya, because she's got no one to talk to here, is going to work with team 5, team 4, then team 5. Okay, so team 1, let's go.
One at a time, obviously.
Yep, just thanks, Tom. Yep.
Do I talk to the camera or am I talking to
No, just ignore the camera and ignore Philip.
Hi everybody, my name's Tom Armstrong. This is my 10th MBA unit. Really enjoying it. My job is I'm managing director of a company that's called A&D Australasia. We make scales, blood pressure monitors, we have engineering services. It's a company based out in Kensington. I also live in Kensington. I was saying to guys before, it takes me 90 seconds to get to work on my motorbike, which is really fun, or in the car if it's raining. I've got 3 kids, all a bit like Doug's, all grown up and off my hands. Just my wife and I. She's coming as well. Her name's Dagmar. She's German. My passion is my motorbike. That's my wife, of course, and the kids. And the outcome, I guess, I'm really looking for from this is just a better understanding of European management. Plus, improve some skiing skills. Might be a bit of fun as well. Thanks.
Thanks.
Hi everyone, my name's Nan. I've got an engineering background. I work as a project manager for an electricity utility. I think we're the new banks. Everyone seems to hate their electricity company. Mine's Energy Australia. Prior to that, worked as a technical consultant in the energy space across Australia, Europe and Asia. I've also got a role in local government, and I guess I'm interested in understanding the EU and how other countries have been working in the EU. I'm not a big skier or a snowboarder, but I'll give it a go. Cheers.
It's bring enough water to stay warm. Now you'll be contacting Leland, won't you?
Yes, yeah, I've been in touch with.
Yes, so Leland's our Vietnamese student who's joining us in Grenoble. Okay, Holly.
Hi everyone, I'm Holly. This will be my 6th unit of the MBA. I'm a National Quality Coordinator for the Australian Red Cross, predominantly working in migration support programs, asylum seekers essentially, and I do a lot of work around systems improvement, business improvement, trying to make sure that our clients are well looked after. For me, this trip to Europe, I'm primarily interested in European management and business in the EU because Switzerland, Geneva, is where the the Red Cross was founded 100 years ago, actually, this week. So yeah, we've just had our anniversary, and I do love snow and skiing.
Okay. My name is Kane Ford. I'm a marketing manager of an IT distributor, and I've also recently started up my own marketing consultancy on the side as well. So that's primarily where I'm looking to go for in terms of my career, do my own thing. So I'm originally from Lake Centrance, down in the southeast, down on the coast. Moved to Melbourne about 13 years ago to study graphic design, and eventually transitioned over into a general marketing role. What I'm looking to get out of the course is a better understanding of the framework of the EU and how business operates in that area, and how as Australian businesses we can engage in that area as well. Live in Preston, just bought my first house about 12 months ago, so I'm just getting into DIY and bumbling my way around the garden and all that sort of stuff.
Don't show any expertise.
No, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm one of those weekend sort of warrior type guys that look it on YouTube and then get out there and ruin it out and spend a lot of money. So, but yeah, that's pretty much me.
Thanks, Kate. Phil.
Hi everyone, my name's Phil Gunn. Until recently I was the group manager of engineering for Newcrest Mining, so they're based here in Melbourne. The gold industry is going through a bit of a tough period, so I took the opportunity to leave with a decent redundancy. Now I'm wondering what I'm going to do with myself. I've worked in mining almost all of my working life. I was telling you guys earlier, I did start off my working life as a jackaroo, sheep and cattle property in Western Queensland. But apart from that, as I say, I've worked in mining almost all my life. I live in Orange in New South Wales. Newcrest does have a big mine at Orange in New South Wales, and I spend a lot of time there. I have a small farm there as well, where I grew apples for a number of years, 4,500 apple trees. And then I woke up one day and with some common sense and got a bulldozer in and got rid of them. In terms of European management, really not too sure what I hope to get out of that. I've had a lot to do with through my work with working with Siemens in Germany, and also a company in Spain, and also ABB in Switzerland. So I guess it'll be sort of confirming or perhaps testing some of the things that I found dealing with those guys, because I found it to be quite different, particularly the guys at Siemens in Germany. Very structured way of doing business, and I expect to find those sorts of things. Understanding more about the European Union will also, I think, I'll be very interested in. I don't know where that's going to lead me.
Yeah, well, that's the exciting part of it, isn't it?
Thank you.
Okay, Deb, thank you.
Hi, I'm Deb Reese. I grew up in Geelong. I moved to Melbourne to study nursing. I also joined the Australian Defence Force Reserves as a combat medic. After I finished my nursing degree, I was a nurse for about 8 months, and then I decided to call it quits, and I became an IT consultant. And I've been working in IT consulting for the past 5 years as a business analyst and software tester. And halfway through that, I decided to study law. So now I'm doing the JD, and I'm in my final semester. And I just thought it would be a nice way to finish off my degree, to go to France and learn a bit about European management. So that's about it.
It's just amazing from all of you, the changes that we've all had in our careers. It's just, you just move from one to another as the opportunity presents, isn't it? Really, that's what happens. Yeah. Okay, 3, we're now to 4. Thank you. That's yours, Aziz. Yep.
My name is Aziz. I'm at the moment an IT project manager. I work at Museum Victoria just up the road. Before that, I've been a business analyst and IT manager, and way before that, I used to be a teacher as well. I guess I want to learn a bit about European management, but this is the last subject of my, I'm doing the exec MBA. So this is the last subject. I thought the trip to France would be a really nice way to round it off. I've been meaning to go to France for a long time. I learned to speak French when I was a kid, so I'd like to put it into practice a bit.
We might rely on you.
I don't have any kids, but I do have a gorgeous little dog who's just like having a child, I suppose.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Karen. I'm currently working in industry super, so I'm the executive manager of our employer service and sales with Intrust Super. Predominantly work in the hospitality tourism industry is where our client base is, which works well for me because my previous life was 14 years in hotel management, so it was a nice little segue to move from hotel management into finance. I'm a OUA student, so I'm Brisbane based, and this is my 10th subject, so like yourself, you can just see the end near. I can nearly feel it and touch it and see it. It has been a challenge doing the executive MBA remotely from Brisbane. So this is a lovely opportunity for me to engage with the student group and also go to France as well. I had the opportunity to do the Asian Management elective in July this year, so that was a wonderful experience, and I also just wanted to round the experience off by having a look at the other side of the world and having a look at the EU and how that impacts Australia. Thank you.
Thanks.
Hi everyone, my name's Michael. I work at National Australia Bank, been there for just over 10 years. Spent 7 years in business banking in lending roles, various lending roles there, and the past 3 years in our risk function, dealing with our lending policy and developing the bank's approach to lending basically. I'm an OUA student as well, but I'm Melbourne based, so it's always good to talk to students face to face. Haven't had that the last subject, but really looking forward to getting over to France and getting an understanding on how the EU operates when they seem to be dysfunctional at times, and just trying to work out how do they actually get things done, how do the countries work together. It's very, very interesting to see how that will work in practice. So, thank you.
Sorry, my face will be very big.
That's okay. Move down a little.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Sorry. Hi everyone, my name is Yatin, originally from Malaysia. I've been here for 7 years. I did my undergrad degree in Melbourne Uni in biochemistry. During my last year in biochemistry, I started talking to bacteria, and that's when I realized I'm not. I don't like to be in the lab. Yeah, and then I take up MBA. And I'm currently working part-time as a retail officer in Cancer Council, selling sun protection merchandise, and work with a group of very nice volunteers. And yeah, that's about it. Yeah. Thank you.
Hi everyone, sorry, my name's Tanya. Unlike everyone else, I come from a small business background. My background is primarily in construction law. The reason I started to do the MBA is a little bit of a push from the government really to support women in the building industry in Melbourne. So I was the youngest female in Victoria when I got my building licence. I have been to France once before. It left a very bad taste in my mouth. I had a very, very bad experience. So I'm looking forward to going back and possibly hoping to have a better experience this time in an academic environment. I may have someone joining me, but I'm not sure yet. Unlike Kane, if you need something fixed, I'm the person to come to. So
What's your number now?
yeah, at home I have the picket fence, the cat, the dog, the children and the husband. And this is my way of sort of escaping a little bit and learning about the EU. That's been an interest of mine for many years. I travel Europe every second year, and I'm looking forward to getting to the nitty-gritty of the complexity of the EU at the moment. Hopefully I'll have someone from my team join me. If not, then I'll tag along to Team 5.
Hi, my name's Charlie. I'm from New York. I've got background in IT, working during some times, etc. And I did my undergrad in international affairs, specializing in international security, focusing in the Middle East and Europe as well. So I know a whole heap about how the EU government works, but as far as actual business practices, I'm pretty interested in that as well. I'm doing a Master's of Finance here, and I'm studying also on the side to be a financial planner. So that's it.
It's unusual to get someone like yourself along. We're delighted to have you because really that will broaden your experience. No question.
Lastly, my name's Alistair. I'm with the Executive MBA here. I'm probably 8 subjects in now, so this is almost a downward run, hopefully. I'm really looking forward to going to France. I work for a company called SPC who do canned fruit and vegetables. They've traditionally exported a lot of product to Europe, so it'd be interesting to go and see what that's all about.
So SPC has run into a little bit of problem recently, hasn't it? More recently.
Yes.
It's always been a very well known and supported brand, but yeah.
Absolutely. Things like how the Australian dollar works and certainly European trading laws and tariffs, etc., have blocked our access to those markets. in the
Yes.
past. So interesting to see how that functions.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Good. Thanks, Alice. Yeah. Okay, so we can now move on. How many French speakers are there in the room? Because this is one with school French. You're just a little bit? Yeah. Okay, so just remember, guys. All right, so what we'll do now is move through this presentation, and as I said, if you could just ask questions when they occur to you, I'll try and answer them as best I can. All right, so that's what we're about tonight. Information on the Study Intensive, 7th to the 15th of January in Grenoble, France. Vietnamese, we have one Vietnamese student, and we have 9 OUA students, which is really good. Okay, what we'll be looking at is the French and European Union approaches and the effect, particularly, for example, that the global financial crisis had on the European Union and the various countries that now comprise, there being 28 of them. So it's quite a large organisation now, quite a wealthy organisation. So that's where Grenoble is, close to the Swiss and Italian borders, and there's some Alps here which are good for skiing. A little way from Paris though. About 500,000 people, and beautiful spot.
How do you pronounce the university where you're studying at?
École. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Just just say that again. my German couldn't cope with that. Okay, so there it is, and you can see this is the older part of the town. Older buildings, the Alps in the back, and the river that flows through the town is just in front here. So it's a lovely villagey sort of town. And lots of lovely old buildings there. The hotels also, I think, usually have taken over a lot of those centre of town buildings and converted. That's the École de Management you can see here. On this ground floor is quite a large reception area where you'll come across a lot of the students. Now it's a really good opportunity for you to meet and have a chat with these guys because they'll be wanting to practice their English. And there will be, I think, a lot of questions that they'll want to ask you and that you'll want to ask them because they are mostly all postgrad students and they're either working part-time or about to go out to work full-time when they complete their MBA. In particular, this particular school in Grenoble is very well accredited with EQUIS, AACSB and AMBER. So very good indeed. It's one of the better of the, or one of the best I should say, of the management schools in Europe. We go there in January. They were sending their students to us in mid-year and I took those students on a number of occasions. They've stopped in the last couple of years, mainly because of the effect of the global financial crisis. So they've petered out. The number of students that wanted to come have reduced significantly. Incidentally, last year on this course going across, there were only 12 students that went. So it's had an effect on us as well, one way or another. So it's lovely to see a bigger group, which would be, I think we're about 24, 25. We started off 35, but there have been a number of withdrawals for one reason or another. Okay, leading European cities, Grenoble, major scientific centre and co-location of knowledge, innovation community and the European Institute of Innovation and Technology. So those of you, and a lot of you have worked in IT, you might be able to get in touch in a spare time that you've got while we're over there if you think that IT is an area that would make a good investment for your CEO. Okay, objectives. To examine the European Union as an entity. It's taken time to develop the European Union. And we'll go into that in more detail as we progress through this evening and the next couple of sessions that we have Thursday week and fortnight. It is very interesting the way it's come together. Obviously, World War I, World War II were key in the French and the Germans deciding that we can't go on like this. I was there in '95 in Germany on a fellowship, and I was spending time with one of their major manufacturing organisations. Lunchtime, two of these guys said to me, you know, what do Australians think of Germany and the European Union? And the only comment that I could think of at the time was that they're just like a mob of warring tribes. They've been at war with each other up until the end of World War II. And I think that they were very anxious that that stop. And that's essentially provided the real impetus behind France and Germany in particular, and then lots of other countries like UK and the others that you'll see listed joined the European Union and provided both financial, political and economic support for establishment of the EU, the Euro and the Eurozone. Whoops, let's go back one. Insights into the European Union and the French economy. So what we'll be doing is looking at the broad spectrum, European Union, all the countries that are involved in it, how it's created, how it actually functions, the various processes and policies that are in place, the various organisations that exist in Brussels, which is where it's mainly located. Not all the functions are in Brussels, but most of them are. And how that's affected in particular the French economy and the French politics and French culture, how French culture's affected the way in which the French view the European Union. Okay, let's just check this. Probably it's all fairly straightforward. This group of slides, of course, is on the blackboard, so you can draw this down if you want. All right, this is the program that we've been advised, which is very similar to the one that I was exposed to in 2010 when I took the same group over. Okay, so we need to be in Grenoble before 2 o'clock and check in by then at your hotel. How many are staying, where are you all staying? You're staying at, anyone not made their hotel bookings yet? Ah, okay, all right, well, when we get to that part, we'll have a show of hands. Right, so you'll need to be in that bottom area, that ground floor level area that I spoke about a couple of slides ago. We'll meet there. I think we really need to meet at 1:30. Now, one thing about the French is that their lateness is really a demonstration of disinterest. So please try not to be late for any of these sessions. Better to be early. A bit like the Japanese in that regard. I spent a number of occasions in Japan. One occasion, the Japanese naval captain that was escorting me insisted on every time we had an appointment to being there half an hour early, 30 minutes early. So, punctuality is very important. Presentation, I think, is also important, personal presentation. Okay, so we'll get a presentation by the school. We'll then meet with the guide and we'll have a guided tour by tram and foot. So the tram system there is very good. It's as up to date as the most recent of the trams that we have here in Melbourne. I didn't see any of the old clackers that we've still got running around in Grenoble. And then we have a welcome dinner that night. Again, opportunity to get dressed up if you want, if you're so inclined. Then we start the lectures in the main. Phil Eyre is an Englishman, but he spent a lot of time at the school and a lot of time in France, maybe 15, 20 years. So morning and afternoon with Phil, morning and afternoon again. Now I'll be circulating a number of the lecture material that he gave out in 2010. So it's a little bit dated, but it'll give you the background that maybe you need before you get there, so you can ask questions that relate to the decisions that you've made prior to getting there. So it'll give you an opportunity to fill in gaps in your knowledge, which you can do with the students that are there as well. Make sure you take advantage of that. With you, I haven't met him, so he's a new one for me as well. And then wine tasting at the Hotel Europol. Free time on Saturday and Sunday, so you may like to have a look around the town. You may wish to go to Lyon or Marseille or catch a train up to Paris or whatever, but it's free time for you. Grenoble is a lot to be seen, lots of good art galleries in Grenoble, lots of good things to see. And just to experience and have a casual, resting, relaxing time if you prefer to do that. Okay, on the Monday we're off to Rossignol, and we then depart from the school by bus to visit the manufacturing of skis and sleds and snowboards and goodness knows what. Presentation, probably by the CEO of the company, and then to the supply chain area. So you'll get a feel for the flow through from the inputs through the transformation of the inputs and then the outputs to the customers. So you'll see all that in that one day, which you'll find quite interesting. And the people that you'll have lecturing will have a lot of experience in the way in which the French do business. Again, a good opportunity for you to fill in gaps in your knowledge and pester them with as many questions as you like. Good opportunity. Oh, what's happened here? I think it's just got to warm up. Might have to move it occasionally. Okay, now for the Rossignol visit, you'll need to bring your passport, so make sure you do that. That's on the Monday. And that's for the whole day. On the next day, on the Tuesday, we'll be having a day at a ski resort. How many skiers are there? Anyone ski? Everyone skis. Have a go at it anyway, yeah. If not, good opportunity. If the weather is good, the slopes are terrific. So that's a good opportunity. Okay, it's Tuesday. You'll return very tired. And on Wednesday in the morning, JP Bernard will be providing us with a delivery on business models in Europe. So again, opportunity to ask questions and just to see how it's interpreted. Okay, now we're right. All right, so JP Bernard, and we're having a farewell dinner. I beg your pardon. Yeah, business models, yes. Farewell dinner. And then on the Thursday, the 16th, we need to check out of the residence. Now on the Wednesday afternoon, you can see here that that's when you'll be making your presentation. So each team then will have 20 PowerPoint slides to make their presentation. That should summarise all the information that you've collected. 20 slides is not very many with the amount of detail that you'll have at hand. So, yeah, sorry, so this is the Grenoble? Yes. Great, okay. Now the teams are out, so if you'd like to... what's your name? You're Kathy, are you?
No, I'm Renee.
Renee, where's Renee? Where's Renee? Where's Renee? Okay, Renee's in team 5. All right, Renee, we'll catch up with all the other stuff that you missed. That's all right. That's all right. It's no problem. All right, so what we're doing at the moment, just working through what's going to happen and just giving you an idea for those that weren't at a briefing, what it's going to be about. All right, so any questions on the program? All right. So these are the sessions that we're going through now, and indicative content areas. So we're looking at European Union, the background, the content, historical development, legal authority. So we've got a few JD students here. I'm sure that will be of interest to you guys. Single market, how is it developed? Why? Single currency for the Eurozone. The enlargement, difficulties, for example, that a country like Turkey has in actually joining the European Union. Industry and business presentations and site visits, which we've worked through. HR management is a cultural thing, and I've got a paper here which I'll hand out to you. It's actually on the web as well, I'll put it up on the web. To give you a bit of a background, the paper was published in the 90s, so it's a little bit out of date. But I've also added a paper on culture, which published in 2010, which will also provide you with a little more detailed background and moving forward to 2010. But I guess you'll all have experienced the way in which cultures, Australian culture for example, has moved forward over the last 10 or 20 years. I mean, cultures just don't stand still. And I think that's the interesting part of this visit. And you'll see that the way in which the French culture is adjusting and changing, you'll find that very interesting. I mean, China is another, and Vietnam, Malaysia. I mean, Malaysian culture in the last 20 years, huge change, huge changes. Yeah. Right. Okay, we've gone through that. You need to attend all classes and site visits. Just let me know if you're unable to make a class, or let someone in your team know, or someone at your hotel know, just so that I don't get worried that we're missing someone and they're lying quietly suffering in their bedroom, which would not be good. So please just keep us all informed, that would be great. And guest speakers from French industry, yeah. All right, 7th of February, this is a summary, a little bit more detail on the cultural aspects. So we do an orientation, program information, guided city tour, and welcoming dinner. Wine tasting on the Friday at the Europol, Saturday, Sunday free time. This is the wine tasting. They're the caves. They haven't included that in this trip, but that's fine. They really were like caves anywhere. If you've been to one cave, you've seen the lot. Well, sorry, I'm being a bit cynical there. Okay, 13th. Okay, back to work. Company presentation. Visit the logistics centre and a presentation there, and the distribution centre. Now, supply chain logistics, who's been a logistician? Anyone know anything about logistics? Very important stuff. So it's good that we're doing it. I've actually added it to business operations course that I run, supply chain logistics, and there are 2 units on that. So it's all the inputs in before they get converted, transformed within the organisation itself. Private or public sector, they all do it. Okay, and you can see the great snowfields there, just great. On the day we were there, had a bit of rain and sleet in the morning, but find up to a beautiful day. Okay, assignment 1. So, pre-departure, length up to 3,000 words. However, you can have any number of annexes or appendices if you feel that you would like to do that. Then what we're doing is making sure that 3,000 words is the max, because as you would know, as senior executives or CEOs, managing directors, you just don't have time to read all this stuff. You've got to rely on the people that are working for you to summarise it in their executive summary. 2 pages, that's all you get, 2 pages. So it's really important that you know how to do that if you don't know it already, and make sure that the people that are working for you know how to do it as well. So you need to know how to do it before you can tell them, and know how they're going to suffer and how hard work it is to actually put these sorts of things together. It's not simple, it's not easy, but you need to know how to do it.
Just a quick question.
Yep.
So just go back one slide.
Yep.
It says
2,000 words, yeah.
It's definitely
I've corrected the subsequent PowerPoint slide to 3,000 words. Yeah. I thought 2,000 words was just not going to be enough. Yeah. Now, it's pretty open. The assignment is pretty open. And within your own teams, you'll find that there are lots of ideas, lots of preferences. And that's no different from the way it is in business. A small team getting together to respond and provide advice to a CEO on an investment proposition, to develop an investment proposition. Hey, you know, where are the boundaries? You need to decide that. So one of the most important things you're going to have to do is to develop an aim, and then the subsequent limitations and any assumptions. That's going to be really difficult for you, but it will be an intellectual exercise that you will, after it's been done, enjoy and feel satisfied that you've done it. All right, so let's read through this. The global financial crisis has had a significant effect on European Union economies, and your CEO is of the view that there may be some good, sustainable investment opportunities up to around $100 million on offer. So there are opportunities there, particularly with a high Australian dollar. It was over the US dollar mark there for a long time. Good opportunity. She selected Grenoble as the area for this potential investment. Just secretly, she's a great little skier, loves the snow. For this potential investment because of the choices locally available in high-tech tourism, education, or wine industries. Now, there may be others that you may have an interest in. That's up to your teams. But they're the 4 that are of significance in the Grenoble area. She's asked your team to prepare a business desktop report. It's a common thing, it's just the way it's done. Report for her with recommendations as to potential for investments before you depart for the area. She's of the view that careful pre-planning is essential for any new investment. She requested that your desktop business report outline at least the key strategic, business, cultural, legal and economic factors, as well as any current issues and challenges being experienced by the industries in Grenoble that an Australian manager planning to invest should be aware of. Provide some initial thoughts, conclusions and recommendations. Okay?
Can I clarify, when you, in terms of investment, are you talking about investing in a locally based business, or are we talking about exporting a product or service to Grenoble from Australia, or can it be however we define that?
It's an opportunity. Okay. Any other questions?
So it's in there, generally in those areas or something else that you might find, Doug, but nothing.
Yes.
Doesn't get into the specifics of
No.
Company X.
No.
Is a great package.
No. So that's really going to be up to you guys. And there's a lot of information on the web in each of those areas, on those areas in the EU and in France and in Grenoble. I mean, I've pulled a few off the website just to let you have a look at them. But look, that's just what I've done. And you might be more skilled at getting these papers than I am. Probably are. So it's designed so that you've got freedom to be innovative and show initiative. Yep. Yep. So you need to decide what restrictions there might be, what limitations there might be. Be entrepreneurial. Yeah. Okay, then the presentation on the last day in Grenoble. All team members need to participate, so you should divide the 20 minutes by, if you've got 4 or 5, each person gets 4 or 5 minutes. Okay, CEO will arrive in Grenoble on the 14th of January and will require to be briefed on your considerations. She expects a presentation from your team, sorry there's a misspelling there, from your team on your conclusions and recommendations to be delivered to her at the Grenoble École de Management on Wednesday from 2 to 5. Your presentation will capture the key issues for her potential investment in any or all of Grenoble's industries or another industry that you may identify, or none. Could be that you decide, hey, too risky. All those need to be justified. Right? You can't just put in a paper which says, well, we don't think there's anything very good there. You've got to be convincing about that.
So you say for this one, so does that also apply for the first assignment that we should look
This is a continuation of the first assignment.
Yes, so this generally would flow on from what? So
exactly.
So would we then focus on a particular industry, or would we spread our view a bit, or that's up to us to define?
That's up to you guys.
Okay.
However you feel it best for the decisions within your teams to go about getting an investment together. Yep. And this is the way it is. Yep. All right. Then when you get back by Monday the 10th, 3,000 words individual journal and individual reflections. Now the individual reflections are just 2 pages on your thoughts on this course. So when you get back, you'll have time to have a bit of a think about it and then just jot down your thoughts on the course itself, okay? Okay, the individual journal. You should keep an individual journal during the study intensive, documenting observations and incidents that will help you advise your CEO on her options and approaches to ensure success. Now, the individual journal can start from tonight, if you want it to. It's up to you, again. Areas of observation and reflection may include, but are not limited to, French leadership style, strategy, business governance, government issues, investment and employment issues, management and legal matters, French cultural differences, teamwork, and others of specific industry to the selected industry or industries. You may include cross-cultural management literature as a part of analysing your experiences. Okay, so they're the 3 assignments. Should be quite thought-provoking, quite demanding, but terribly interesting, okay? And you guys should really capture a lot of information about the EU, France and Grenoble as a result of this. Yeah.
I've never done an individual journal before. Is that just like dot points or notations that I was just picking up that I then type up into Word or something?
You can either do it as a structured arrangement, and I'll give you a structure if you want to follow that, then that's fine, for the individual journal, or you can choose to be quite open and unstructured about it. But it is limited to 2 pages, and we'll go into detail about the structure for your business report, which is the one you'll do and hand in before you depart. But you can use the same structure for your individual journal as well, if you wish.
It's 2 pages, it's 3,000 words, sorry?
No, it's separate. So, individual journal is the 3,000 words. Individual reflections is just the 2 pages. But the journal is up to 3,000 words, and you can use the framework if you wish. I'd suggest you do use the framework if this is the first time you've done it.
Is the journal referenced?
The journal
Do you need to provide reference?
should be referenced. Always best to do that.
So it's sort of like an essay in a way?
Yes.
Yeah. It's just based
Yeah.
But like, in terms of who your CEO is it, I mean, is this a scenario that your CEO might be CEO of a mining company in Australia looking for investment in France? Is that the sort of scenario?
The CEO is CEO of an investment corporation. As one of her sidelines. She has a number of other interest areas, but in this case, principally, it's an investment company. It's commonly known as the Colourful Corporation, which has a range of investments. And it's rich enough to send a team across to Grenoble to do an assessment. Okay. Costs, I think Chris has covered that. And the other expenses, again, will need to be met by yourselves, but you'll be aware of all this, I think. Cost of flying Qantas to Paris, again, I'm sure there are better deals than that, but it's going to depend upon your own choice. And then you can either fly to Paris or to some other location, maybe to London, get a train through to Paris and then a TGV down from Paris to Grenoble. But look, this is part of the fun, determining how you're going to get there. You can go from Qantas, fly across to the Middle East, and then Middle East up to many ways of doing it. Fly to Japan over the top to Paris. Yeah. So look, whole range of ways of getting there. Okay, so we're into accommodation. Those of you that have made your accommodation bookings already, how many have booked into your core? Oh yes, I think you mentioned that to me. Yeah, yep. Europol? Okay, a couple. And the Grenoble? Okay, all right. So I'll be staying at this hotel, and I've put in descriptions here. But look, it's up to you. The main thing is that we all meet at a specific time at the school. So we need to be there. I think we should plan on being there half an hour early. That allows us all to get together again and maybe have a chat about what's eventuated and what's happening for the day. So those times that are on that program, just cut half an hour off and try and be at Grenoble School half an hour early than those times. Okay. Midwinter, when I was there last time, there was 30 to 50 centimetres of snow on the ground in Grenoble. So wear waterproof everything, including your shoes. And suitable warm clothing. So those puffy jackets are quite good, particularly the ones that go down below your bum. They're really good. Yeah. Yeah. Anyone bringing your partners? Good. That's Tom. Yeah. Good. Phil. Okay. Look, we probably need to get you two together, your partners together, because the girls sometimes, or whoever your partner may be, often have good fun. And my wife, when she came with me, met up with the other partners and did a tour around Grenoble. Generally had good fun. Yep. That's if you'd like to do that, of course. Yeah. Okay. All right. So that's it. Any just other questions that have occurred to you? It's all. Yeah.
At the school, when we're attending, is there a particular dress code? Do we have to go in casual business, or is there a requirement in the school?
Look, thanks for asking that question, because I think it is important to present well. So I'd suggest casual business would be the way to go. The students that I encountered last time, the ones that come here, casual business is the way they presented themselves. The French seem to be a little bit more formal in dress than we are, and the climate has got a lot to do with it. So it's cold, people dress warmly, but then France, of course, has got, you know, the fashion capital of the world against it. So yeah, I think better to get dressed up than to dress down. Yep. And of course, we're representing Australia, aren't we? Yeah. Okay. Anything else?
So there was one of the trips you mentioned, bring passports.
Yeah, that's the Monday.
Yeah. So are we sort of going somewhere else, are we?
The company that we're going to, the Grenoble, yeah, we're going somewhere else. Yeah, and we'll be in buses, but they will require to see your passport, etc., etc.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the reason. Yeah. I don't think they let tourists through their company.
Are they in Switzerland?
They need to know. Sorry.
Are they in Switzerland or something?
No, they're in France. They're in just near Grenoble. They're just outside. Yeah. But it's more of a security issue than anything else.
What is that?
Ski company, yeah. So they manufacture snowboards, skis, etc.
I saw the name Quicksilver there.
Quicksilver, yeah.
Is that part of them?
Yes.
That's not
They'll be the same. But they'll give you a rundown on the company arrangements.
Don't we have a mobile number or something, like in case we're terribly lost and we're need to tell you where?
Yeah, I think that's important that we all have our mobile numbers. So I include mine. And yeah, that's what we'll do. So we make sure we keep in touch with each other.
Yeah, I think
Is there much pre-reading in preparation? So I know that the Quicksilver business case study is something that we're focusing on over there. So is that part of the pre-reading?
There's a lot of
across those type of.
Yes, there is. There's a lot of pre-reading that you can do, depending upon the way you wish to approach. I think that the preparation is so important. So there is a lot of pre-reading that you can do and should do. So will they be available
on the blackboard as downloads, or is that something that we need to?
It's a combination of both. So I put information on the blackboard, but because I don't know where your team is going to end up, you need to start having a chat to each other and working out just where you think the good opportunities might be, and then searching for information on the web or wherever else to gather that information. But I've got some papers that I mentioned earlier on culture, which covers the way in which French organisations are set up, what the individuals within that culture consider to be important. Yeah, there's a whole range of stuff that is of interest. Yeah.
But in regards to the days that we're at the school and their presentations, is there pre-reading or specifically
the Rossignol and so on
and so on, things like that? Yeah.
Okay, let's put it this way. You need to do broad spectrum reading to begin with, to identify areas that you need to be familiar with in relation to EU and France. There's a whole range of stuff there. So you need to, across your teams, work out what individual preferences are for search and knowledge, then keep each other briefed. Right? That's the way it's done, as you'd know, in business. Right? Once you've done that and you've got the broad spectrum approach and you've got a feel for the way in which French organisations might operate, you can then start to apply that general conceptual information to the particular Rossignol or wine industry or whatever. whichever industry you choose. But I've always viewed it as most important that you do the conceptual stuff first. Just know what the general trend is. Then once you've got those concepts sorted out, you can then put them and apply them to the particular. But if you go straight to the particular, look, as soon as you've done that, the information is not terribly useful subsequently. So it's important that you read broadly, bring out the concepts, and then start to apply those concepts to the specifics. And in doing that, what you'll do is to collect certain papers which you think are important and relevant, and then extract from those certain citations, maybe a couple of words that from the abstract might be adequate, and then use those in your business report and in your individual reflections, and of course in your PowerPoint presentations. So we're working at a postgraduate level. We're not undergraduates anymore. We've lifted our thinking to, we've got a problem. These are the concepts that we identify that are applicable to this particular problem. This is what our business report's going to be. Okay. So, sure, I'm here to provide you with a lot of information and I'll be as helpful as I possibly can. But I can't do the research for you. That's very much going to be a team and an individual thing. All I can do is to try and encourage you to go into that conceptual area first and then see how that applies to the individual. And look, once you get used to it, it's a piece of cake.
We'll be able to submit our scenario to you as the concept of what we're looking at doing for both the first and second assignments for you to review and just say, yep, I'm happy with this.
Okay, so the business report you come up with as a result of your desktop study before you depart, that's in December, I'll mark that and I'll get that report back to you marked as soon as I possibly can. Usually the turnaround is about a week, maybe less. Yeah. And then we can have a discussion about it. So if you want to come in at a suitable time, we can have a one-on-one, or that's myself to the team, and I'll just go through it, all the comments that I've made. Very happy to do that. Then you can move from that onto your questions that you need to ask to define more clearly the direction you're heading, whether it's reasonable, feasible. Don't forget exit strategies too. You've got to have an exit strategy. It's part of this investment program. So all these things are being thrown up in the air, and you need to grab them and pull them together. Okay? And look, this is the way work is. We've all changed jobs from nursing to IT, project management. Oh, there's a huge range of stuff sitting in this room. And if you can cope with that, you can cope with this easily. It's only ideas after all. That's all it is.
It's a group effort, isn't it? The
First one's group, second one's a group, third one's individual. Yep. And you'll find that working in a team has got pluses and minuses, of course. Yep. But look, we all have to get on with each other. All right. So I'll just pass out. These are the Part Bs, which you all should be familiar with, and again they're up on the web for you. But this provides the scheme that the university is held to account. And one for me. Okay. So we'll just work quickly through this. Postgraduate management course aimed principally at EMBAs, MBAs and other postgrad students are welcome. So it's good to see the JD and finance reps here. impart and develop a range of perspectives and skills for you to understand the complexities of managing a business in Europe, France and Grenoble. Address organisational and cultural norms and etiquette of France. A particular focus will be the management leadership approaches used within the country, how this differs. I'll grab this before I lose it again. Okay. And how this differs from approaches used in Australian organisations. Also examine the European Union and how business practice is facilitated across the diverse member states, particular attention to France. At the end of this course, you will develop an understanding and appreciation of the cultural norms of the people in France, ability to use cross-cultural models, insight into the country's economy, understanding of management leadership practices, understanding of the European Union, understanding of the relationship between Australia and the European Union and France. Opportunity for you to explore a range of cross-cultural frameworks for managing people and process within the European Union, France and the Grenoble area. Learning activities, 3x3 hour pre-departure classes, a week of classes in situ with participating École de Management Grenoble. Teaching schedule, doing business in Europe, the European Union, structure, specific nature, political system and decision-making process. Key institutions, the Council of Ministers, the Commission, Parliament, Court of Justice, European Central Bank. Historical development since 1959 and the Treaty of Rome, which is when it all started. Waves of enlargement that have occurred since then. Internal and external pressures that have incited European integration. Some of the theory involved. Legal authority of the European Union. Future of the European Union. Political dimension. A single market, a single currency. European Union enlargement and commercial aspects. The economics of enlargement and the effect or limitations of immigration, agriculture and environment. And of course the free movement of people and labour mobility and cultural activities. Detailed Learning Hub site is available and prescribed texts. Now, how many of you have been able to get this particular, anyone got this one? Good, okay. There's a lot, in the latest one you get a second-hand one, that they're almost as good as the latest. But there's a lot of background information in relation to the European Union and how it was created, and then how it actually operates. So it is worthwhile. You read it on the plane going over if you want, or discuss it with, within your team. It is worthwhile buying. It's a good book. It's well written. It's got a lot of information in it. And it's easy to read and interesting. The assessments we've gone through in some detail, and they're the same as that I had up on the board. Assignment 2, Assignment 3, individual reflections, and that really is a summary. But you might like to read through that in slower time. The next item relates to the other RMIT requirement for each of your assignments to have a cover sheet. So I've got cover sheets here for each of your teams. Individual assignment, you will need to get one for yourself, but there's...
In terms of submissions, is that through just emailing it through to you, or does it need to go through Turnitin? Or?
Good. I'm happy for you to just email it. Now, look, I can tell when there's... I've been marking papers for I don't know how long. I can tell when stuff's plagiarised. So just don't even try it, because I'll weep. And I can assure you, you'll weep as well. So just don't do it. Why is it not a good thing to do? The main reason is that you're cutting your own throats. I can't understand why people plagiarise. one of the objectives of citing other people's work is to provide greater argument and strength to your own arguments. That's the only reason you do it. So why you would plagiarise, I've got no idea. There's so much more greater benefit in citing and using that work to develop your own argument, to strengthen it. Examiners will look at the first page and how many citations are there on that first page. The more you have, the more impressed your examiner is going to be, because it indicates that you have read widely. This guy's good. This paper is going to be good. It's so straightforward. We'll get onto it a little bit later, but World Wide Web references. Remember, you're handing this stuff in. It's certainly it will be emailed to me. I'm happy with that by the time. Again, timing is very important because I'll dock you for marks, I can tell you now. Why are you smiling? You've had some bad experiences, haven't you? Of me, yeah. Yeah, so timing is very important. And you really must get things in on time. Okay, now you've made me forget where I am. Yeah, okay. So it's all very important to get these citations in. World Wide Web. Please avoid using just straight www references because they can be removed from where they are. It's very difficult for your reader or your examiner, your readers, to actually make sure that they get to exactly the citation that you are using. So just a straight World Wide Web reference with a whole range, often they go on for 3 lines. Has anyone ever tried to put those 3 lines into a Google or a search engine accurately? How long does it take? 5, 10, 15 minutes? And then find that it goes nowhere. If you want to get your examiner offside, use www references. They can change. They're not justified. However, as you would know with Wikipedia, which is just a case in point, Wikipedia substantiates their argument by having a whole range of source material referenced down the bottom. So the Google Wikipedia, for example, will have authors' names, the year of publication, journal articles, textbooks, may even use annual reports, governments, but you must use those citations, Harvard referencing, not just the www.bhpbilliton.com.au. It's meaningless. So you must ensure that your examiner or your reader can locate that citation that you are using.
So,
is there a referencing style that you
Harvard.
have to use?
Harvard referencing. That's very easy. Learn it once. It's international. You can use it for the rest of your academic career and for the rest of your business career, because those other guys that you may work with to or working to you will also be very familiar with Harvard referencing. So once you know about Harvard referencing, it's very straightforward.
Is there a guide?
Yep. Yep.
Probably on the library. Yeah.
Yeah. But look, it's quite simple. And straightforward. It's very simple and straightforward. So, it's the author, year of publication, title. What's next? Title of the journal, yep, or title of the item that it comes from, yep. So it could be a title of the journal, or it might be a textbook, or, yep. Yep. What's next? Sorry? Publisher, yep. The final one, location of the publisher. Now look, there are lots of variations on that. If you're citing the beginning of the sentence, then you might say blogs, and then after the author you'll put in the year of publication, da-di-da-di-da. So that's in text. Or a whole range of different ways of citing this item. But essentially it's the author, the year of publication, the title of the journal or text, the publisher, and the location of the publisher. If you do that, I'm very happy. Your reference list, remember reference list is different from bibliography. What's the difference? Anyone tell me?
Reference list is what you've actually referenced in the text. Bibliography is all of your reading.
Whatever you've read, yeah. But for academic and business work, you only use reference list. So only those items that you have drawn from and cited in text do you put into your reference list. So don't use bibliography, use reference list. And remember that your reference list is in terms of your family name first, then initials of the author. So it'll be Brown, comma, JD, and they're listed in alphabetical order in your reference list. Okay.
So would you discourage, just because you do get some good content from like blogs where they're only an online source, are you saying you would discourage using URL references?
Okay, so
because you have a lot of really current, up-to-date information that might only be from online sources.
Okay. So what's the authority behind a blog?
It may be that you built that credibility who that person is.
So, all right. So how credible is the author of that blog? Oh, that's the issue, isn't it? So it's a judgment issue. Yeah. Again, it's a judgment issue. Okay. But if you want your work to be authoritative and rigorous, then you need to make sure that the citations that you use and the references have that authority and rigour. Okay. So I can't make that decision for you.
One of the recent subjects I did, the text was the recommended text was a compilation of a whole of people's work.
Yep.
I still don't know how to properly reference that.
Okay, so you go the author of the item. Let's say it's different chapters in a book. So, or maybe journal articles, a whole range of journal articles in a text. Okay, so what you'll do then is the author of the journal article that you remember. What you've got in mind is that you want your reader to be able to find the source. That's why you do it. Otherwise, what's the point of even doing it? They need to find out, or your examiner or your readers, audience need to know. So, the author of the particular item, the year of publication, which will probably be the year of the textbook or whatever it appears in, the title of that item. Then, this then becomes where the title of the book in which it appears with eds. So you'd have eds and the editors of the book.
So this is the compiled book?
Yeah, compiled book. Yeah. So that compiled book will have editors that compile, maybe one, maybe three, maybe half a dozen editors here. And then of course the publisher of the book and its location. So that's, and sometimes they put in here, so the title of the item in. So title in that eds and then the publisher. Okay. So provided you hit all those points, that's fine.
Doug, you're using endnotes
Endnotes, yeah. Endnotes RMIT doesn't permit, or footnotes. Endnotes or footnotes RMIT does not. As a policy matter.
Endnotes the program.
Oh, endnotes program, go for your life. Yep. Some people find that endnotes are restrictive, but use endnotes. That some people find that they limit your scope. Some people find it very helpful, so it's very much a personal matter.
Can I just confirm, just in regards to the referencing of your web, so if I pulled a journal article off Harvard Business website, you still have to put access on the W. No, you don't want that at all. So you don't care that we pulled it off the web, you just want the
I want to be able to find
journal.
it.
Yeah, okay.
When you pull it off, I couldn't give a damn about it, quite frankly.
Okay.
Who cares?
So it's just very different to my last couple of courses where they've said viewed by this date, accessed on, and it was very specific. So it's just a bit of a new learning for me to your
yeah. I can understand why. I mean, I suppose, look, if you want to put it by all means, but I won't be paying any attention to it, I can tell you now. But if you feel more comfortable doing it that way, then that's fine by me. But for me, it doesn't serve any purpose whatsoever. I mean, I don't want to know when you accessed it. But I want to be able to find it. Yeah. Yes. Okay, what other goodies have we got in here? Ah, yes, okay. Business report writing and presentation. I'll give you one of these each. Now you'll notice that in the work that I've put on the web, there is a copy of this also. But I think we need to work through this because it is very important for you to achieve a high standard in your business report. Oh dear. All right, let's have a look at this. Let's start at the top again. Your written work is a personal statement of your intelligence, sensitivity, credibility and reputation. It has to be of a very high standard in every way. Even a minor lack of attention to detail in your work will cause a scrupulous reader to be worried about the accuracy of the rest of your work. So you've got funny little mistakes made, even spelling mistakes, indicates that you are careless, that you don't check your work. Therefore, that puts doubt in the mind of your reader, who will be your boss usually, about the rest of your work. And you don't want that. So it is very important that you take care to maintain your reputation and credibility. It is very important. Remember, one day your work may persuade you, your organisation or stakeholders to make large investments. If there is any lack of accuracy in the details provided in your report leading to losses, your credibility and reputation will be in tatters. There are certain generic academic rules for oral and written expression, just as there are rules for most activities such as playing games, Aussie rules, soccer, badminton, cards, rugby, etc. So you must know the academic and business rules of the game. particularly as these skills will help you earn a good salary and interesting jobs. So if you've got someone that can write business reports for you, express themselves well, they're the kind of people that you want to work with you. You want to work with them because they're top quality. You guys are top quality. You must understand that your reports, essays, case studies and presentations are for your readers, your audience, not for you. And therefore you should make every effort to understand and assist your reader, your audience, to read or hear your work with interest, to easily understand your arguments, and for you to persuade your reader or your audience to your point of view. All your material must be presented and expressed in an easy to understand, persuasive, logical and systematic format. You need to capture your readers' minds and lead them down the path you want them to go with convincing, interesting, logical, systematic, easy to read and understand prose and presentations. That's the way it's got to be. Okay, so let's work down the table. First thing you need to do is your RMIT cover sheet, which I've just handed out to all your teams. Then the next page will be the title of your report, names of... Yep.
On that you say properly signed, but often if it's like an OUA environment...
Properly signed. That means everyone in your team has to sign it.
Okay, so is the scan signature okay if we can't get together?
Scan, yeah. Yep, sure. And I just draw your attention to the declaration and statement of authorship on the cover sheet. This work is my or our original work, and no part of it has been copied from any other student's work or from any other source except where due acknowledgement is made, i.e. plagiarisation is verboten. No part of this work has been written for me, us, by any other person except where such collaboration has been authorised by the lecturer concerned. We have not previously submitted this work for this or any other course. We understand that plagiarism is the presentation of work, idea or creation. So that's an idea or creation. So don't put in a whole paragraph and at the end of the paragraph put in a reference or a citation, because that will get a great big red mark, I can tell you. Now you're the examiners, you put yourself in the examiner's position, or you're in a position reading through this stuff that your employee has handed in to you, and all you get at the bottom of a paragraph is a citation. What does that citation apply to? Does it apply to the whole paragraph? Does it apply to the last sentence to which it's attached? There is huge doubt there. Now, postgraduate work is about attention to detail, guys, right? You must get used to paying attention to detail. It is extremely important. That's just the way it is. It's extremely important. So in good business reports, you'll find maybe 2 or 3 citations in one sentence, if that's necessary. But you always cite where you make the comment that's drawn from somewhere else, or the idea, at the time. If you do it sentence by sentence, it means that if you then have to adjust the sentences, you carry everything with that sentence. If you do it on a paragraph basis, hey, we're nowhere, because you'll move one sentence that's not been referenced or cited into another paragraph and you've lost all that work. It is painstaking, but it is necessary. As is.
It makes it very difficult to read though, isn't it? I find when I've read papers and that, it just doesn't flow well.
Well, that's the way it's expressed. I mean, that's got to do with the expression. People on the first read-through usually scan across the citation. Don't even register it. That's the game we're playing. Them's the rules. Okay, executive summary. Must contain the aim in the first line together with a summary of the factors, conclusions and recommendations. Easy way to do it is to simply copy and paste your aim, your conclusions and recommendations from the body of your report. Summarise the aim and outcomes of your work for very busy executives. So this is what you will want if you're in a very busy public or private sector job. Having done that executive summary, it will also provide the basis for your presentations. The executive summary should be no more than 2 pages in length, should contain references. Your executive summary is a good basis for any presentations because it summarises your report. Express your report in the third person. Avoid the use of superlatives. Use simple short sentence. Use dot points. Contents. So the content sheet provides the reader with an outline of the structure of your report. Should be no more than 1 page. Page numbers are required. So it's really a summary of where your aim is, introduction, aim, various factors that you might use, conclusions, recommendations. So the reader can easily see what all this is about, having read through the executive summary. Introduction provides the reader with a background summary to your report and an enticement to read on. Aim of the report, establish first and continually used to test relevance. Your aim should also list any assumptions or limitations. Factors. Factors or the arguments should be both for and against. Each factor should contain cited theory, cited case, or other material. Conclusions are past and present. So you look at conclusions, look at past and present, and that's where you draw your conclusions from. Your recommendations are future. If you're a consultant or if you are working in an organisation already, your recommendations are your pathway to future jobs. So, whoever you give this business report to, read through your recommendations, put a tick, yes I like that, yes I like that, yes I like that, pass your report back to you and you'll get the word implement. And you've got a job. Interesting job, because you've just done all the work. You can then implement. So remember, conclusions is where you look at past and present, the events that are factual. You've got material, quantitative and qualitative material to use. You've got all your references, citations. Then out of that, you draw your conclusions, and then out of your conclusions should come your recommendations. That's logical, it's systematic, and throughout all that, you should relate back to your aim, so that when the examiner or your boss reads your recommendations, he or she is thinking of the aim that he or she has given you to write this business report about. So the business report that you are writing for your team needs to bear in mind the aim that you developed to begin with. It might take some readjustment as you work through, get more material, but you need to start off with a generic aim. Make sure that that is used for test of relevance. Make sure that you state the assumptions and any limitations to that aim. Okay, conclusions, recommendations that we've covered, but remember, again, for both conclusions and recommendations, there should be no new material introduced. That all should be introduced in your factors. That's where it should be. Referencing. We've probably done referencing to death. You don't want to hear any more about referencing, do you? But it is an important part of this process. It is an important part of the rules of the game. So you don't run onto a hockey field expecting to play soccer and use soccer rules, do you? You don't. Of course you don't. Same in writing business reports. You've got to know the rules and apply the rules.
So for in-text quotations,
yep.
Is no italics required?
Look, as long as you're consistent, I don't mind whether you use italics or whether you use commas or underlining or whether you leave it as it is, because there are so many variations on that, and quite frankly I couldn't, it's not an important issue to me. But if you use italics for, let's say, the title of the paper that you are drawing your citation from, just make sure that every other title in your list of references is in italics. Or you may choose not to use italics at all and do no underlining at all. Hey, as long as I can find it in quick time, to me that's what's necessary. Yep.
Just because I'm getting a little confused with the referencing to what I've done before in other units, but in the in-text it's just like the author's name, the date.
Author's name, the year.
And the year, sorry.
The publication, yeah.
And then referencing it back down to the reference list where you've got all the information.
Okay, so the reason, yeah, that's right, Tom. So the reason you do the in-text citation, which is the author's name, author or author's name, year of publication, is so that your reader and yourself can then go to the reference list and find the reference and then put it into a search engine and find what. So the test for you would be to use your reference that you've got in your reference list, pop that into a search engine and make sure that it comes up with the citation that you've used. Because that's what the examiner or your readers are going to be doing.
Does the executive summary go towards your word count, or that falls outside of that?
Yeah, it falls outside it. So it's after the executive summary, not including the contents of the page.
Yep.
So it's from introduction through to the end of recommendations is the word count. Now when I say 3,000 words, it's up to 3,000 words. I get very tired. And I don't read so well after 3,000 words, if you get my drift. Yeah. Okay. All right, so in the word count, are we up to there yet? Yes. Well, no, we're not quite. We're not quite. Just go back to the bottom end of page 2. 3,000 word report is expected to have at least 16 quality references. And that won't be hard for you, let me tell you. You'll have so many references that that'll be absolutely no problem. Annexes and appendices. That's used for any detailed information that is not included in the body of your report. Now remember, if you do this well, this will be a document that you will refer to yourself in years to come. Let's do it well, do it once, do it well. A list of annexes and appendices should be included. Okay, so you need to do that. Word count. From introduction to end of recommendations does not include an executive summary, references, annexes or appendices. Now, if you're doing a 3,000 word report, I've just suggested here that for a start you might allocate for your introduction about 250 words, aim about 50 words, conclusions maybe another 150, recommendations 150, and then for factors and issues, if you've got say 10 factors, 12 factors, distribute those remaining words across the 10. So it might be that you end up with 150 or 200 words for each of your factors. It's just a simple allocation to begin with so that you can populate and then improve as you progress. Now what usually happens is that you'll end up with 4,000 or 5,000 words. That's often what happens, and then when you go through you'll refine them and bring it back to up to 3,000 words. That's probably an expectation that most people will have. So it enables you then to bring things together, and that's why I cautioned you about making sure that any of your citations are done on a sentence by sentence basis. So you can move things around, which you'll end up doing, I'm sure. Okay, 10 PowerPoint slides in 10 minutes, so 20 PowerPoint slides in 20 minutes. Now that's where you'll find your executive summary, use figures and tables only in both your business report and in your PowerPoint presentation. And remember that your presentation is a sales pitch. So you've got a sales pitch to your CEO. You want to sell your ideas. This is going to be a good investment for you. So you've got to couch your presentation in those terms. So you don't want to make it very difficult for your CEO to understand. That's why figures and tables are not good often. Much better to use figures. If you're going to use words and dot points, no more than 5 dot points on a slide, no more than 5 words per dot point. That's it. So on each slide, either a figure, no more than 5 dot points. Each dot point, no more than 5 words. Okay? So remember, from a presentation point of view, what you as presenters are doing to sell your ideas is putting up something nice and simple that's easy for you to understand, to do your presentation, gives you little key points for your presentation. Remember, by now you'll have done a lot of work, you have a lot of knowledge to present, so that you can maintain eye contact with your audience. So all you need to do is glance up, go to PowerPoint number 2. I often like to number them rather than just use PowerPoints, because you then know, your audience knows exactly where you're up to. So you logically present it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's it. Move on to the next. Next one's a figure. Don't waste too much time putting in fancy this and fancy that. It really is distracting, quite frankly. Just keep to the bones of the presentation, and it's the way in which your team presents in a professional manner that is important. The way you sell your ideas. It's a sales pitch. Okay. All right, some other more basic academic rules. Now remember that your bosses and people that are working to you that have done MBAs know about these rules. It makes it so much simpler when there's some commonality. It's the ideas that are contained within the report that are the important issue. Not some fancy colouring model and what have you. It's the ideas, it's the innovations that are important. Okay, let's get back to the basics. 10 or 11 or 12 font, Times Roman or Arial, 1.5 or double line spacing, print on one side of the page only, use simple plain English, stay third person, that is, avoid the use of I or we. As soon as you use we, it means that you're involving your reader in your opinions. Your reader might object very strongly to the opinion that you, or the argument that you've just been putting forward. Where do you stand then? So don't use we. Stay third person. As soon as you put I in there, again, this tends to be a little bit of an assertion, often based on experience. But in this case, what do you guys know about the European Union? What do you know about France? What do you know about Grenoble? If you use I, you are asserting that you know a lot about it. Don't use I, okay? Stay third person. It's safer. It means that if you get into a discussion with your boss, let's say you and I, right, I'm working for you, if we refer to a particular citation in, say, one of the journal articles, we can discuss that journal article. It's not mine. I'm drawing from this guy. So we can discuss it, and I can find out what your thoughts are. So I can then adjust the business report if I need to. So we don't get into a personality conflict of interpretation. Again, to be avoided. Okay. Third person. Great stuff. Yep. Don't use things like superlatives. It was the biggest. Well, what's the biggest? I don't know. You'll interpret it differently from me. So you need, again, not too high, not too low. Try and stay in the centre all the way, okay? Then you've got room to move. So if your boss decides, hey, that was great, we should go with that, you might add in a little bit of a nudge. Right? Yep. Right, use a spell checker. But remember, this won't pick up manger when you mean manager. Now again, this is attention to detail, isn't it? The number of people that rush at the end and don't check, they put in manger instead of correcting it to manager, that means that they're careless. And I can assure you that the successful managers these days are very careful about attention to detail. That's the way it is. Okay, read your work out loud to yourself or to a friend to confirm smooth and logical flow of ideas, ease of understanding and correct punctuation. Use a style manual. Use this to find out how and where to use apostrophes. A classic one. I reckon there would be half a dozen papers that I read from any class that misuse its and its. And the test is, IT apostrophe S is it is. So when you're reading it through and you put it IT apostrophe S and say it is, and it doesn't make sense, get rid of the apostrophe because, and again, this is carelessness. It means that you haven't paid attention to what is correct expression, correct grammar. Right? You've got to get it right. You're postgraduate, you're masters, guys. We're masters level. Okay, the other one, note that entities are singular and not plural. So if you're talking about a company is not male. Is it a male? A company? An entity? Is it a female? So it's a neuter, isn't it? So it's an it. Is it singular or is it plural? An entity. Legal entity. Who are our JD guys? It's singular. So it's singular and it's sexless. Therefore, a company is it. It's an it. It's not plural. Okay. Oh yeah, superlatives there, massive. I mean, what is massive? I use biggest, but massive. Use all in-text authors' family names on first use, then et al. That's just a variation of what we've discussed, but you'll pick those variations up. That's the main. If you get that right, then you can do all these variations that come along. Have a chat to one of your mates in your team. Or just check each other's work. It's a good way of learning too. Yeah, that's good. Check all of your citations are listed in references. So if your readers look up your citation and it's not in your reference list, hey, that's not a good sign either. It means you've just thrown it in there and forgotten to put it in the reference list. Waste of time. Oh yeah, convention for punctuation of lists. Okay, be consistent. As I've used here, they're all bullet points. Now you can see if you go to the end of each of those bullet points, and this is convention only, you don't have to use it if you don't want to, but it is convention. You use a semicolon at the end of each of your bullet points. At the penultimate bullet point, you use a semicolon and the word and then your final bullet point. Now if you present like that, all your bullet points with that convention, have I got something wrong there as is, have I? Lack of attention to detail?
He'll be proofreading it.
Just a question, Dave. Do you start each sentence with a capital or small letter?
You should start a sentence with a capital letter.
No, you're talking about the dot points.
Dot points?
Dot points.
Okay, well that's one that it varies. Even with the the reference, the style manual. So if your sentence ends with a colon, then you would anticipate that each of those dot points should start with a capital letter. If your introductory sentence ends with a semicolon, then one would think that it would start with a lowercase, the bullet point. But look, I don't mind, as long as you're consistent. Yeah, as long as you're consistent. But you can see there that in some cases I've used both. Lowercase, was this the point you were making, I suppose? I'll change that by the time I do this again. Okay, but no, look, see, looking for detail. That's the way it is. You pick it up, don't you? Right? You know what to expect. That's what happens. Group like content sentences into thematic paragraphs, yes. Use figures and tables only, ensure each is numbered. Source provided with full Harvard reference, located in the immediate vicinity of its mention in the text, so your reader doesn't have to go and find it. In other words, don't put it all in all those figures and tables in an annex at the end. If you're counting words, then it's only the Harvard reference at the bottom that will actually be counted in your word count. Because when you're using your text word count, it doesn't count into the tables or the figures. So you're quite safe. And they should be as close as possible to where they're mentioned so that the reader doesn't have to go chasing around. Okay, systematically, logically meet your aim as represented in your conclusion recommendations. Postgrad work is about attention to detail. Thank you, Aziz. Yeah, another one.
When you do your word count, it will include all your references and brackets and that.
Include all your citations?
Yes.
Yes, it does.
So is that okay? Are you meant to compensate for that by strictly speaking?
Well, you can by using et al. So the convention is that you use the first and all the others on the first mention. But if you're really running that short of words, some people drop it back to using just the first author and et al. On first use. And I'm happy with whatever you choose to use.
No, I mean, so it's standard for the citations to be included in your word count. Because they're not really part of the sentence, are they?
Well, the citations are part of the meaning of the sentence, and therefore they are included. Yes. Yes. Because without them, the sentence would probably be meaningless. Yeah. But the author and the year of publication, of course, are included. Yeah. Tom.
Two things. One, IBID, you call it.
Yeah. That's repetition. Yeah.
You mentioned the fact that I didn't pick up. Use figures and tables only instead of what?
Figures and tables, some people use chart, the word chart, or some other arrangement.
Labeling, so figure 1, figure 2, figure 3.
Yeah. Yeah. And then just number them through figure 1, figure 2 as you mentioned.
Last thing. Yeah. Subject. Working in groups.
Yeah.
Working great groups. Crack groups.
Yeah.
From your point of view, this is a great group. There's some bad groups around that side of the room. Do you want to know, or do you want us just to punch it out ourselves, or do you? It's like if someone's not pulling their weight, right? Like they're just sitting there and everyone else do it.
Yeah. I
don't know whether to tell the lecturer or just put up with it, do it all for them, or whatever. Big business, you kick them out.
If that eventuates in this class, I will notice it. I won't need to be told. We've worked together, you see, so we know what we're all about. Yeah. Good fun. All right. Shall we keep on? Keep on? Yep. Crappies. All right. Now, look, I've got a little bit of reading for you. And I'll hand those out now too. Now this is to do with culture, and the first paper that I've got for you was published in 2010. It's more the broad spectrum stuff, so conceptual. It really just gives you a lead for the kind of things that you should think about including in your reading. Okay? But remember, you can't read everything, so often what people do is only read the abstract and maybe the conclusions, and that's it. Sometimes only the abstract, and then draw from the abstract, because you're very time limited. You should really make sure that you try and allocate the time that you're going to spend on this and not go over it, not go under it. Be reasonable with yourself. Don't make your life a misery because you're spending too much time doing too much investigation and reading. So you've got to make sure that you use your time very carefully and very well. Okay, now this next one is about management in France, and I think this is the one that you will find of most interest because it's more specifically about culture and organisations in France, and I think you'll have a lot of fun reading it and relating it to the way in which you've experienced culture and organisation here in Australia or elsewhere that you've worked. Malaysia, for example. Okay. All right, the first one that I handed out to you, the organisational science paper, published in 2010, A Cultural Quest, a study of organisational use of new cultural resources in strategy formation. So these are the issues that we'll be talking about. A lot of the stuff in here is conceptual. In that abstract, the kind of things that I would draw out of it are the following. The view of culture as a toolkit from which individuals draw resources flexibly to develop strategies of action that address different circumstances. For me, that would be a key sentence. The next one, I'd go down a little bit further. Cultural repertoire enrichment and organisational identity redefinition are two core mechanisms that facilitate this process. Now I can see that I might use that in any comment or any factor that I have that relates to culture and organisation. Okay, so let's move to the next one, which is a little more detailed, and that's titled Management in France. Abstract again. Analysing the nature of work relations in France, categorised as relatively impersonal, formal, hierarchical, partitioned, subtly politicised and flexible, and holistic. Examination of the character and role of the cadre, that's the manager, and of the relative professional status enjoyed by French managers. Mention of Hampton Turner and Tromponnage, which you're probably familiar with from other courses that you've done for the MBA. May require the outsider to be prepared to question, even to confound their own basic assumptions about the culture, role and practice of management. Now I see those as leaders of statements, comments that will lead me into other areas that relate to French culture, French organisation, which you'll find, of course, in Grenoble as well, and will help you relate back to where you've worked in Australia, and the different, if there are any differences, in the way in which you've experienced culture and organisation in those organisations that you've worked within, whether it be small, medium enterprises, major corporations in the private sector, whether like Red Cross, it's not for profit, but they all have their culture. So together, I think that all this is very thought-provoking. You will need to just sit back and think about what you're reading and get the most out of this. You're going on a long, interesting, fruitful journey up here. Okay, now look, I've identified a number of other things that are good to be aware of, but in summary, that abstract really gives you what it's all about. I think at this stage I might leave it to you to read through the rest of the paper, but you'll bear in mind that as you're reading it through, and this is related directly to French organisational culture, inevitably you'll be thinking of how I've worked here in Australia with different corporations and companies. What was different about the way I've been working? Is there a difference? Are there some similarities? They're going to be both. All right. So the other guy that you will need to think about is Hofstadter. Again, familiar name for a lot of you. If not, have a yarn to your mates and your team. So it's Hofstadter. Who's this guy? Maslow. Heard of Maslow? You've all heard of Maslow? Okay, no? Well, great opportunity for you. It's because you'll hear about this guy, and he's very interesting, the work that he did. Maslow. What else have I got here? Okay. Effects of the skiing industry on the environment. I think I put that up on the web for you. So that's a good one. But look, these are just papers that I've found. There are lots more out there. You'll probably find better ones than these. Grenoble wine industry. Okay. All right, well I think we've just about covered the field. As you're going through and you're thinking about at the European level, European Union level, what I found a good way to build my thought processes and structure it was to compare the EU and the collection of the way in which the EU has come together with the way in which Australia, the Commonwealth of Australia, developed, and the difficulties that Australia didn't have to worry about, and you'll see all those problems in the European Union. Getting commonality. I mean, we just cross borders, New South Wales to Queensland, and don't even think about it. Common currency, we don't think about it. Common defence, diplomatic, all the stuff that the federal government does at that level, state government responsibilities, local councils. It's all there. It's all set up and it all functions extremely well. European Union had to really start from scratch after World War II, World War I. Just horrendous. What is tracking along with us, I think also, that we will get involved with is ASEAN. And ASEAN is going through that process now. So where does ASEAN sit in relation to what happened with European Union? These are the kind of things that are going to occur to you as we work through this course. And they're things we should discuss. Have a chat. Wherever we meet, that's a good opportunity to share ideas. Sharing ideas is going to be really important. So while you're in teams, and we've done that obviously for a reason. Try not to inhibit your discussion with other people around in the class, because essentially we're all here to learn, aren't we? I mean, I'll be learning from you guys, and I'll be learning a lot. So, you know, we're here to learn. So the cross-pollination is going to be really important all the time. Yep. I've learned from Aziz tonight already. There you go. Yeah. All right, so a few minutes early, but can we cover that with any questions that you might like to ask? Any concerns that you may have? We've covered a lot tonight, but come next Thursday, it'll feel all like old hat, I can assure you.